evening, everyone. Welcome to the latest in Bitcoin Tech session. Uh, Today, we'll have a look at a new draft BIP that has been circulated. It's called as the CAT. It's a BIP that has been drafted uh, to to address the UTXO bloat problem, to prevent the encroachment of uh, Bitcoin's functionality by non-monetary use cases. The BIP is slightly different from because it targets the supply side and not the it targets the demand side and not the supply side of these ordinals. The objective of the BIP is to bring in consensus change via a soft fork, such that people are discouraged. The users are discouraged from using the Bitcoin blockchain for non-monetary use cases. It has been introduced or authored by someone called as Claire from. So it's a proposed consensus change via soft fork. Um, the overall idea is to reduce the financial incentives for anyone to create and use spams on the Bitcoin network. So the main idea, as you all know, there is a huge problem with the UTXO set bloating. The Most of the UTXOs that have been created since the introduction of SegWit change and the taproot change are mostly tiny dust limit level UTXOs. Uh, they carry very little monetary or economic value. Considering the rate at which they are growing, this definitely is not a healthy or a sustainable trajectory. And there are various methods or ways that has been put forth by different people to address this issue. One among the core versus not debate is one such angle to it. Uh, Nods primarily focuses on using policy level filters so that it targets the supply side of the non-monetary use cases of UTXOs, whereas this BIP proposes a consensus change such that it sort of stifles or kills the demand. So, the idea is basically based upon creating a historical set of UTXOs um, that will be classified as non-monetary use cases or UTXOs, and it will be subjected to certain these non-monetary UTXOs will be subjected to a certain set of rules. Uh, it introduces the idea revolves around something called as a snapshot set. This snapshot set is computed once when the BIP goes or the software gets activated. Uh, uh, it gets computed once, and it is sort of fixed. And from this snapshot, UTXOs gets classified as non-monetary UTXOs. And the consensus rule that will be brought in is that once an UTXO gets classified as non-monetary UTXOs, its spending it will become unspendable. So this snapshot will be like sort of treated as a historical boundary line. And based on this boundary, future spendings will be like allowed or not allowed. uh, yeah, it sounds a little censorship like, but yeah, that is the whole proposal about you classify a set of UTXOs as non-monetary UTXOs and prevent uh, those UTXOs from being spent. That is, you drain value out of those UTXOs. So the technical implementation primarily rests on the consensus logic that will be brought in. You will pick a TXID and the output. You will pick an out point, and it will while spending or while validating a block, it will be subjected to the usual rule, consensus rule that whether this out point exists in the UTXO set. If it exists, only then it can be spent. If it does not exist, then the transaction will be rejected. Now that is what exists now, and to this a new new consensus rule is proposed to be added. That is, the same out point will be sent to a function called as is NMU. And if this function it's a boolean function, if it returns a true, uh, then that particular transaction should be rejected as invalid. So basically the function is NMU will decide whether the out point that you are proposing to spend is spendable or not. So this is the basic consensus logic that this BIP proposes. Now we'll see a little bit in more detail about this is NMU function, how it works and how it is constructed. Uh, Basically, there are three steps to this is NMU function. The first step is to check for a particular height, block height or a window block height window. We will be defining the H min, that is the minimum height of the blockchain from which you'll have to check for UTXOs, and we'll also have a snapshot height, which is defined by H snap. The first things first, this NMU function will check whether the out point that you are trying to spend falls within this block height. If it is outside these block height, then this function returns a false boolean. So which means any UTXOs or out points that falls outside this window will not be considered for this new proposed consensus chain. They can be spent as usual, like provided they comply to the rest of the consensus rules, they can be spent. However, if your out point falls within this range, then it will be subjected to further checks. The next check that this consensus this new rule goes into is the value check. This basically it checks whether the out point has a collective, like the out point has a total value associated with it to be greater than 1000 satoshis. If the UTXO has a value of more than 1000 sats, then also like the UTXO is spendable, immaterial of whether it has some ordinals associated with it or inscriptions associated with it. The UTXO is spendable if it is more than 1000 sats. Finally, if the UTXO is falls within this high window and also is less than 1000 sats, then the function goes into a membership query. So uh, basically, the membership query happens like it will use the out point and pass it through a binary fuse filter and query whether this out point is present in the is present in the filter set or not. So if it is present in the filter set, then it becomes then the UTXO or out point is unspendable. So this is the main functional logic behind this function is an MU, and this is how this three-stage function, three-stage check works inside this logic. And here we I have introduced as kind of a set in which the membership is checked to exist or not. This set is called as the NMU data. It is basically a binary that takes a snapshot of all transactions that are considered as non-monetary use cases and compacts it and provides it in a compact form. So this construction of this data set happens off chain. Typically, the proposer of this BIP um, uh, will perform this construction of the set, but you can also, I think, we can also, as an individual, we can also construct it, but we'll have to run the ordinals protocol and the stamps protocol. Using these two protocol, we have to run it and then first identify um, 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 identify UTXOs that are created by this protocol, and also after identifying this becomes the raw set, and further filters are applied to this raw set for like further conditions. Uh, the same two conditions that we saw here, um, only out points that have a value less than or equal to 1000 sats are considered for membership into this non-monetary use case set, and also the block height should be within hmin and the snapshot height that we are considering. So if it is there, then that particular UTXO is encoded into a binary fuse filter. So binary fuse filter is basically a probabilistic data structure, and it can be used to test memberships with like performance in a performance oriented way, and with with a reasonably low false positive rates. So this is the basic behind how this NMU data set is constructed off chain, and and this is used to query this data set. This data set gets queried in this via this is NMU function. So yeah, basically this I am not very familiar with how binary fuse filters work. Maybe like Delson, if you you can add. So yeah, this is the basic behind this proposed BIP. Mm, it has some problems associated with it with respect to this snapshot being the only it doesn't it defines these NMUs within this snapshot period. What happens after this snapshot is left for future BIPs and future BIPs and other consensus changes that can come. So basically, it's a limited one-time kind of a sterilization effort. If this BIP gets activated and activated, what it will likely do is sterilize the set of ordinals and ordinals and um, all these other non-monetary um, non-monetary UTXOs, it will sterilize them and it will make them unspendable. And from then on, I think uh, the how to proceed is not discussed as or detailed in this BIP. So it's limited one-time sterilization kind of effort. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can like go ahead. We can like discuss it further. So that's the basic description of this BIP. It's a new BIP, draft BIP, freshly out, and it has attracted a lot of attention. And yeah, it has. People have not included it in the repository because people there are complaints saying that this BIP was not circulated widely in the Delving Bitcoin forum and the mailing list to have garnered some discussions. Yeah, that's the state of it. Yeah, now it's if you have any doubts, like we can get into it and yeah.
Does anybody actually think that this is actually going to ever execute? Because I really don't think so.
Yeah, it has a lot of uh, it's like a censorship kind of angle to it. So
This is just a
yeah,
threat, in my opinion, to against ordinals and stamps and stuff like that. That's not, it's not legitimate in any way, shape, or form. And I think that, I mean, you can't really do this on the network.
What do you mean by legitimate?
So for example, one second, I'll just be back.
Okay. Yeah. One interesting question. So I just posted in this
chat.
like the chat, right? My thread. So assume that in 2012 there was no dust limit filter, right? And there was no fee thing also. So basically, imagine a person with a 50 BTC, which is 5 million sats. They want to, let's say, destroy Bitcoin for some reason. Okay.
Mm,
So they are creating like one sat or two sat outputs. They are paying like 2 3 sat fee also, no problem. So they are creating as many those low output transactions as possible. So this is definitely going to increase the UTXO set in an unnatural way, because Bitcoin's evolution from the very beginning, it depends on the assumption that as technology grows, the nodes will be able to like keep up with the data growth. Okay, because
yeah.
so that sort of assumption. Similarly, the technology, the mining hashing power is also based on that assumption. All right. So now, if I mean, it is also, people also should keep in mind that Bitcoin will always be attacked. Okay. So that is, I think no one is realizing that Bitcoin can be attacked. They are under the assumption that just because the Bitcoin code exists, it's going to automatically thwart all the attacks. Okay.
Yeah,
What do
but
you mean by Bitcoin bullet, right? I mean,
Because that's what, like, one of the attack I just posted that attack to the Twitter, like to the tweet that which I just posted now. So you can just tweet. That is an attack. Okay, you can literally read. Imagine in 2012, what is the state of the hardware right at that time? I don't even think SSDs were popular during that time. Okay, and the
Sorry.
memory was also very limited, right? So during that time, we don't have this huge RAMs that we have right now. Maybe in 2012, the typical laptops or sys PCs, either the RAM size would be what, 2 GB, 4 GB during 2012. And imagine someone who has an intention to attack the Bitcoin, they could have easily carried out this attack. There was like no mechanism during that time to stop this attack.
Well, is there
So
a mechanism
yeah,
right now to stop the attack?
that's
Let's say
exactly what I'm saying.
what
Okay.
your attack vector is just to be clear, what your attack vector is that somebody takes 50 BTC, splits it into 1 1 1 1 1 SAT,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
creates and bloats the UTXO set through that.
Exactly. We have mechanisms against this, right? The dust limit, the minimum fee. All right. So we have this mechanism, and even with the dust limit, the exploiting the see the taproot, these inscription attacks, not exactly not taproot, these inscription attacks, right? These ordinals and stamps, they were carried out by using the dust limit. Okay. So now imagine the same happened in 2012. The only way the community, so the Bitcoin network could have evolved is by deleting those, I mean, is by making those UTXOs unspendable. Otherwise,
Um,
like how else you will, either you have to do that
Wait,
or you
hold
have to
on.
do kind of like a hot.
Is there a dust limit on the consensus level?
No, there is no dust limit on the consensus level.
Then how do we have a defense against the attack? The attack is still valid.
Then you can update the software to make those UTXOs unspendable. That's easy. Like you just don't keep the the UTXOs in the memory, right?
Yeah,
And you
that's
also
what this
don't
soft fork is proposing.
what?
That's what this soft fork is proposing, is what you're saying. I see. I mean,
Yeah, that
yeah,
is what
making UTXOs unspendable should usually not be the move.
no. That might be your belief. That is your belief. I
Making
mean, if
any
you see
making,
Bitcoin, like if you imagine, like remember the white paper, it is trying to solve something which we call the Byzantine general problem, right? So if the let's say if the participants or the Bitcoin users or the nodes or the like miners, if the majority of the miners or the node runners like wants to do the right thing, then Bitcoin will continue doing the right thing. That is the assumption.
right, but what I'm saying in a general sense is that I understand the concept of consensus and how that works. But I'm saying in a general sense is censoring, let's say that right now they go down with this path, let's focus on what's on the table, and they go ahead and censor these UTXOs and stuff like that. And then somebody else comes up with another spam protocol, then what are you gonna do? Keep censoring people's UTXOs consistently? That do that? That doesn't make any sense.
No. See, yeah, okay. I will. I mean, this point will be addressed a little bit later. Okay, so this point I will address a little bit later, right? But before that, there is something that you asked, right? So this is censoring UTX. When we talk about censoring, okay. So what makes Bitcoin censorship resistant? Like I think a lot of people have confusion with what makes Bitcoin actually censorship resistant.
I
Resistant.
think people have confusion as to what censorship is.
Yeah, censorship. I mean, you can like censorship. I think everyone understands, right? You're trying to not mine a particular format of transaction or its origin, like whatever. Okay, so that is then there are even you can even like. That's okay. So you guys can continue. I need to take a call.
it's like we have lost you. Yeah, but as Atraxia asked, I also have this like the proposal itself is very limited. It takes a snapshot in the blockchain and has to deal with that particular snapshot. But this is not a static problem. This is a dynamic problem, and how do we um, how do we address this?
Yeah, I don't think, like, you can try to filter it out from your policy, but on a consensus level, pretty much even if you go through
Yeah,
the proposal for the previous soft fork, which is the one that I've been looking
so
at, which is the reduced data sub temporary soft fork. Yeah, it
yeah,
helps to constrain it to a certain level, but spam will always get through, but that's not the point. The point is that they don't want Bitcoin to be used, or I guess the soft fork people, I'm not going to take a side over here, the soft fork people in the reduced data temporary soft fork, um,
yeah.
want to go back to the way things were at a consensus level. So I think that that's pretty much what the feeling is.
Yeah, true. Except if it is not a soft fork but a hard fork, if the proposal is a hard fork, then maybe there can be an answer. But
No, no, no. Why it has to be a hard fork? I mean, it is by definition a soft fork. It cannot be a hard
yeah,
fork. This BIP in particular,
yeah,
because
this
like I
BIP
mean,
is in a,
yeah,
yeah.
you are
My
making.
only problem. My only problem with this BIP is that apart from the apart from the idea of what is sensor and what do we sensor and how do we sensor, apart from all those things, this particular pip restricts itself to a particular snapshot of the blockchain and tries to deal with that particular snapshot while the chain is constantly evolving. And also it restricts itself to two particular protocols, that is ordinals and stamps. Like it will create the NMU's data set by running the same ordinal protocol on its end and then creating a set out of it. So uh, this can like work. What is there to stop only using the ordinal and the enemy protocol? Why can't other things be introduced into it? And that kind of it brings in that kind of questions.
Yeah, so that is a great question, but that can only be then the new things can only be mitigated in the mempool policies, right? Policy layer. So this is to clean up the existing damage. This is not to clean up the future damage. This proposal is. That's the difference. To clean up the future damage, we have to, like as a community, we have to actively work against the attacks on the Bitcoin. Is anyone here who thinks ordinals and stamps are not an attack on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think there is consensus among all here that
Yeah.
they are an attack on Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, if Bitcoin is under constant attack and the Bitcoiners, node runners, and the miners are not willing to act against an attack, then how Bitcoin will succeed?
Yeah, true. But what does acting entail to like? Does it involve censorship? Where does it end? That is
No, no. See,
a
Bitcoin. No, no. Bitcoin is censorship. Like, censorship resistance. See, this we have to first of all this we have to like understand what censorship in Bitcoin means. Okay, only miners can censor Bitcoin. So miners has the greatest power to censor Bitcoin. True or false?
Yeah, they are the ultimate deciders of
Yeah,
what goes into the
yeah.
chain and what goes
Yeah,
not into
censorship
this.
resist exactly. So censorship resistance comes from the fact that Bitcoin's mining is decentralized. If Bitcoin mining is not decentralized, if Bitcoin mining is centralized, then there is no guarantee of censorship resistance.
Yeah, if that is true, then I think it is already given the current state of mining,
Yeah,
it is already
exactly.
centralized.
Exactly. So, and one more thing, and similarly, if you want so that the mining decentralization is one thing, then the node decentralization is another thing. Okay, so if there are more number of Bitcoin nodes, that also improves Bitcoin decentralization. So with these two important things only, we can essentially have censorship resistance. Without these two things, we cannot have censorship resistance.
True, but this is the same rationale that is being put up by for the argument that are for reducing the operator limit for increasing the operator limit inside the transaction. So
Yeah, exactly.
the main rationale that is being put forth by core V30 is that this will prevent or at least try to fight against minor centralization.
No, no. See, the hopes are not technical arguments. Okay, so that is essentially a hope. That's essentially a belief. I mean, you are hoping that people
Yeah,
will put
yeah.
their
The technical argument is that by removing operator limits, people will stop using um, private relays, and they will that people stopping when people stop using private relays to send their transaction directly to miners, this will disincentivize large pools of centralized miners, and it will incentivize small miners to participate in a even playing field. So that is the main argument that is being put forth
Yeah.
by 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 the rationale to increase the operator size limits.
Yeah, but that is based on hypothesis. Is that based on any? Does that have any real practical data to support it, or real practical anything? Because the thing is, what they're ignoring in that argument is that there are currently organizations, companies, and funds which are being allocated, and they are working to attack Bitcoin. So they are not willing to accept this fact. They are not even including this fact in their discussion. There are people who are
Yeah,
willing to attack Bitcoin. They want Bitcoin dead. If
yeah.
Bitcoin fails, then lots of people in power will be absolutely happy.
So are you saying that because of anonymity, miners will collude within themselves and then somehow form a cartel of sorts and then uh, eventually make it proxy quasi centralized exchange or something?
Yeah, that is exactly that is exactly their plan.
Yeah,
See, I just shared no, I just shared one of the like arguments by Peter Willa in 2014. So that was during the time when they had operator war back then. Okay, so the operator and standard and limits was set to 43 bytes back then. So Vitalik was against it. So whoever is in the core team right now, they were like for the policy limit. Okay, so what they are arguing is, I mean, they were essentially for the policy limit, right?
What do you mean?
So the
What do you
same
mean by policy limit?
by restricting the operator to 43 bytes. So Peter Vela, who is now supporting unlimited operator, in 2014 he wanted to restrict the operator. Okay, so it's the same argument. So the same people who are supportive of Core 30 right now would have opposed Core 30 in 2014. So the only explanation is it is a cartel, a coordinated attack against Bitcoin.
yeah.
What is the
As
antidote?
Hmm?
What is the antidote?
What is the antidote? The antidote is we are the antidote.
Yeah, the whole as if you have been following this space in some detail, there have been like very data driven reports that underscore the problem of minor centralization. So this has been proved via block template fingerprints. So even though if you go to mempool and see the my hash rate distribution, you can see not one single miner exceeding 35%, but the major miners like Anpool and their affiliates, the rest of the affiliates of Anpool account to close to 50% of the mining hash rate because it is Anpool that creates the block template and distributes it for the remaining pools. So that is a well established and existing problem in Bitcoin mining currently. So, and the both sides of the argument is that there has to be some way to prevent this mining centralization and break up the mining cartel. And one attempt has been Core V30. Since Core V30, it has been at least proposed that by reducing the mempool fragmentation, we can address this minor centralization. And in order to reduce mempool fragmentation, we must the uh, open up the transaction for transaction to accommodate more data. So that's their argument. And the other side's argument is that we must actively prevent non-monetary uses of data, and that itself is the attack. And if you start to prevent that, then the minor centralization problem will also be addressed via this sterilization process.
No, I disagree. Disagree in this in your last point. See, minor centralization can only be fixed by people. Okay, so like how will the PR of Bitcoin will looks like if everyone accepted that Bitcoin is centralized? People will dump Bitcoin. Okay, so if Bitcoin is like just another centralized, the price is the number one factor which will affect minor centralization. All right. So if the price drops down, let's imagine that the price like goes down to 50k USD, or let's say 20k USD, then all these centralized the mining hash rate will go down tremendously, because all these miners, they want to make profit. Okay, so they are not going to get the profit in the dollars, and the only person like who the only practical solution to mining centralization with pooled mining right now is data with ocean, right? The knots, the Luke Dasher, and one other guy, big fit, I think, remember is Jason Hughes, right? So these two are the people, the ocean mining company, they are the lead developers, so they are the knots people. They are the one who has the practical solution to fix the to fix the centralization of mining problem. None of the people in the core has done anything to fix the centralization problem of mining. Changing the policy limits doesn't going to mean you have to provide the tools for the people to make the Bitcoin decentralized. If Bitcoin has to be decentralized, then people have to run the nodes. If Bitcoin has to be decentralized, then people have to contribute to mining. This is the only way you're going to fix it. If no one is using Bitcoin, if no one is using running Bitcoin node, if no one is trying to mine Bitcoin, then Bitcoin is dead. It is. How are you going to fix that? You have to fix it in a social way only. Okay, so as who was the previous person who okay, so the other guy, right? So initially you asked the question. Yeah, okay. So as he mentioned, this BIP is a threat. Of course, we have to issue threats like this. Otherwise, how those attackers will? Then only those attackers will not continue to attack. There are many times the threats were made against those spammers in the Bitcoin community. Only 2023 for this ordinals, the core publicly stated that we are not going to go against the spammers. That is the only time. So they went after Satoshi dies. Okay, they went after counterparty and all those things. They went after counterparty and Vitalik during 2014. Because after that issue, and many people may not know this. After that Optech war in 2014 only, Vitalik went away and created the Ethereum.
Yeah.
Before that, Vitalik was working with Bitcoin only.
Yeah.
All right. So unless we are going to issue threats. Okay. So yeah.
Why did Vitalik pivot? Why did Vitalik pivot from Bitcoin?
Because he lost the Optech war. He wanted the ability to store
EVM, a virtual machine. He wanted a lot of script capabilities on Bitcoin itself. But yeah, there was huge resistance within the development community, and he was not able to push through his desired changes.
this, you see, whether this BIP gets merged or not, that's a different story. Okay, the idea that people are willing to do such stuff itself will make the VC companies will make them put a fear in their mind. Okay, they won't pour away they won't throw away their cash to what, the Jason Law, Peter Todd, and all those guys, all those spammers, right? In the Ordinals, who's that Ordinals guy? I forgot his name. Casey, right? So all these guys, they are getting their funds are primarily from these shitcoin mining pools like Mara and other those VC funds from Peter Thiel. If you just look into the roots, okay. So they are all they get is fiat. Okay, so they don't care about Bitcoin, and they themselves have openly stated in many times that they are an attack on Bitcoin. Okay, so if our Bitcoin community reacts like this every time against their shitcoining, then they will hesitate to raise funds for attack against Bitcoin. Let's say if this BIP let's say if this BIP succeeds, okay, let's assume that it's 2027. This BIP was succeeded. Okay, so the software was activated. All right, and let's say 2028 or 2023, like the idea of or something to do with dust outputs like ordinals will put a fear. Like it won't be easy for them to raise capital to do such a thing.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And like there has to be some resistance or pushback, but it doesn't seem so that like the book is being thrown at this BIP by the maintainers. So they have like not they have not accepted this PR inside inside the core, stating that it has not been discussed in the mailing list and the Delving Bitcoin forum.
And that's a good sign for this BIP because when was Bitcoin Core like started? It's like 2013 or something. The 2013 or
Yeah,
2014 to 2015, like during the before the big block was Bitcoin Core was not the standard. I think it was something else.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So I mean the argument for rejecting the BIP is also they don't understand that they are the centralized guys. They are the censoring guys. So why is that a rule that you should put it in the mailing list or the mailing list? Why that? I mean I was never aware of such rules. What's the point of those
Yeah,
rules?
yeah. There is no the general consensus or mandate is that before you submit a draft, of course, the draft has to be according to the format of the BIP drafting format. There is BIP 2.
Yeah.
Apart from that, in order to prevent DOS attack via draft PRs,
Mhm.
the general rule, or let's say, I don't know whether to call it as a rule or something.
Yeah.
The general idea is that
Policy.
it has to be, yeah, the general policy is that it has to be well discussed in
Okay.
via the mailing list and the Delving Bitcoin forum before it gets
Yeah.
drafted a BIP, and then a PR is created
Yeah.
for the BIP.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, policy is required to prevent spam,
But
but not with Bitcoin.
the author also complained that he made multiple attempts to
Yeah.
bring up this draft in the Delving Bitcoin forum, but he was unable to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the thing. I mean, if they do, it's not censorship. If we do, it is censorship. That's your argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Let's see. But can you add anything more to the binary fuse filter that has been
No.
proposed?
No, like I just read up on it. It seems like some kind of an advancement over Bloom filter or something like that. Some like efficient way to check the membership whether this particular UTXO belong to that set or for example, let's say they are building that snapshot, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So let's say the new node is syncing those transactions. Okay, so every transaction, whether that particular output should go to the that UTXO set in memory or it should not. So that one additional test will be done whether that output belongs to this snapshot. So the snapshot is basically stored in that whatever that filter is. So that's like kind of like some data structure. That's it. So if it is present, then it will be rejected. If it is not, then it will be added to the UTXO set. That's the idea.
yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So, anyone else has like any other uh, questions, points of discussion?
Hey, Bala, Vaishak here. This is
Yeah, yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
this is rightly a very, very, very contentious kind of bit in a way, as pointed out
Yeah,
by others. Yeah, so yeah, binary fuse filter, yeah, it's just it's sort of like Telson pointed out. an advanced version of your standard blue filter with better hash functions and with more number of hash
Okay.
functions, and it basically reduces the number of false positive. It's sort of similar to
Okay.
how hyperlog probabilistic data structure was made, and
Okay.
yeah, it's a little bit more robust, like rightly pointed out by
Okay.
him. And and yeah, coming to this point that we were talking about of cat. So yeah, it's a can of there's no going back once once we sort of run something like this. I feel as it's sort of echoed by others. But so let's imagine there can still be leakages, right? When you run a cat, let's say if there are some UTXOs and it contains some yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
some non-monetary kind of information, but it has more than 1,000 sats, then that will
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
slip through.
Yes.
So
Yes. Definitely.
that can still slip through, and that would still linger in the background. So this wouldn't entirely be foolproof in one way, but yeah, probably it will help reduce the content a little. Maybe how approximately how much? Maybe 90% or more. Is it?
No. Right now, no. There is no data on it, and yeah, the assumption is based upon how this binary fuse filter will work, but that too is strictly limited to UTXOs that fall within the particular height that we are going to use as a snapshot, and UTXOs that have value less than 1,000 sats.
Okay. But okay,
So
let's.
the whole idea is if you are willing to pay more than 1,000 sats for an inscription, you can very well do it. But
Hmm,
it will act as a economic disincentive. People now do it only because it doesn't cost them anything,
right.
at least very little in terms of sats.
Right. But those who genuinely want to attack Bitcoin, 1,000 sat might mean nothing for them. Um, I
Yeah,
I I
true, true.
I feel. And to be honest, yeah, like staying true to the ethos of Bitcoin. Even I don't like ordinals or any of these spam shit that is on the monetary network. It should be pure. But how we are defending against it is supposed to be like super cautious. Yeah, it's highly contentious and defense. How has anybody explored defending against ordinals and on this on and all this on a very discreet manner? Let's say they implement it on a policy level and they flag to the community, look, we have identified them, we are not going to do soft fork, we have identified these UTXOs as shitty UTXOs, non-monetary UTXOs, we have flagged them, we are not going to propagate them in the network, or we are not going to do it, we are not going to treat them, we have basically pruned them, we have used the cat as a tool, identified them, and you
Right.
and pruned them, and probably that way the original Bitcoin core repo and everything PR will be as it is, but the community as such is proactive in identifying them and defending against them. Is has Do people explore things like this as well?
Uh,
That's exactly what this
I
BIP does, right? It
But
But
Yashok is saying, can't we do it out of consensus? Like the whole construction of this
no, no,
binary
not like that.
binary
See,
fuse filter and all those things. Can we construct it out of consensus and use it out of consensus?
no. So it doesn't work that way. Okay, so I mean, a node singularly cannot choose to ignore the blocks which contains the transaction. It can ignore to relay the transaction, but it cannot ignore to include the block which consider which has the transaction. That would be a hard fork. Sorry, that would be a fork. It will be a soft fork, but still
right,
the relay.
What Ashok is saying, if I understand him correctly, is that right now, anyway, transactions containing op return are consensus valid. They are part of a block, and once they arrive at your node, you are pruning it at the node level after performing verification of the transaction. So I think what Yashok is asking is, can we do the same for let's say the same, let's say we use the same set of rules that this BIP proposes, 1,000 sats, and we have a snapshot, and we have a list of transactions that we considered as ordinal and inscription. And can we use that list? Like, of course, we have to verify those transactions, and after verification, can we prune them from the UTXO set?
That's exactly what this BIP does. Because
No,
think
but
about it. No. This was I evaluated this question long ago. Okay, so the idea is if you are pruning it out of the UTXO set, okay, and when a transaction which wants to spend that output comes to you, you won't be able to correctly verify the transaction because that the output is not in the UTXO set. Then you have to again query your node blockchain. That will cost you more time. So it is
yeah,
you are reducing. I mean, you are attacking your own node. Then if you do that,
yeah, you can't relay that. Even
ah,
though the transaction can be valid and the UTXO exists, it's just that your node doesn't have that UTXO and your node will not see it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then your node cannot accept the block which contains the transaction as well. If you remove it from your UTXO set,
Yeah.
that's exactly what this BIP does, and that because of that only it is a soft fork.
Right. There's no way for the node to verify whether this UTXO indeed
Yeah,
existed in the history or not.
yeah. I mean, it needs to has it in the UTXO set.
Yeah, only perhaps yeah, more than the nodes, I think it's the miners. Perhaps they are the ones who would be able to, make a strong statement um
No, no,
in filtering it out.
no. Minus are nobodies. Okay, so minus are nobodies. If a single party gains 51% hash rate, okay, then the community will react by dumping the Bitcoin. The price will go down. Okay, otherwise the community can choose to not include the blocks which was mined by the attacker. That is also one possibility. All right. So because of this reaction mechanism only, it is not economically the attacker is not economically incentivized to attack Bitcoin because of this reason. The attacker has no economic incentive to attack Bitcoin. That's why they don't attack Bitcoin. That is the actual reasoning.
No, but again, this again brings us to the point that uh, whether the attackers that are using ordinals and inscriptions, are they economic actors or non-economic actors? If they are non-economic actors, even this 1,000 sat limit will not
Right.
impede them.
No. See, no. This 1,000 sat limit. See, once again, I'm saying this out fork does not prevent the new form of spam. It is only meant to do a cleanup of the existing spam. It is going to reduce the damage done by the past spams. Okay, of course you cannot remove the spams from the blocks, right? That won't be possible. That will be a hard fork. All right. So what they will do is they are reducing the spam by not allowing to keep those outputs in the transaction output. Sorry, in the UTXO set, and you're essentially not going to allow any new transaction which spends those spams. Okay. This is the only purpose of this bit. And people have a
Yeah.
misunderstanding that they also misunderstand. They also claim that the BIP 444, right? Now it is Bitcoin Core as assigned to the number 110. All right. That BIP is also not meant to prevent spam. In consensus, you can never prevent spam. That the intention of that BIP is to state that Bitcoin is not for arbitrary data storage. That's it. Spam can only be mitigated in policy level because of information theory. The information theory also, those guys like Matt Carolla and Adam Back, they would say, because it is always possible to stuff data in new formats. So you can never
Yeah.
fix spam at the consensus level. It was not about preventing new spams. Both of these folks are not about preventing new spams.
It's just to
People,
discourage it.
Yeah, like the retards like Peter Todd, okay, the retards like Peter Todd, or they said he said that I have put this entire BIP 444 in a BIP 444 compliant transaction. Okay, I have created a new spam. Okay, so he's a retard for that because it was this that BIP, its intention is not to prevent new spams. They themselves have stated it in that BIP. And these core 30 apologists, right? So they are like keep yeah, that we have the ability to spam the Bitcoin. We have the new ways to spam the BIP 444. That's a retarded argument.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.